theme of power made me want to build a free energy generator in Tilt Brush. Then I realized lots of my artist friends and lots of my friends don't realize what Tilt Brush is. So this is a little demo, very basic, of my process of making this piece. Okay, this is me, and this is the little headset. I'm inside here, and this is my paintbrush. I'm painting with light, and in my other hand is my toolkit, which has got my palette and all my tools in it. So I'm just showing you very, very quickly what I see inside my headset and a little demo of how I paint with different brushes. I can shrink the world, I can grow the world. There's just so many things I can do with this. So the first thing I did was put up a mirror because I get everything nice and symmetrical then. And here's my mirror. And I can make my brushes bigger and smaller. And as you can see, everything I paint on one side is replicated on the other. So that's my basic mirror. So I'm going to use one of the pre-made models, a form, so that I can paint on top of it, and everything stretches. Anything is really possible in it. So I've put a box up so that I have a nice flat surface, and I've set that box square, and I'm going to build my free energy generator using this box. So now I'm copying everything, selecting, copying, and pasting to make the base of my free energy generator. And there's a spare one up there, which I'm just going to stick out of the way for the moment. I'm using the globe shape for the next part, and I'm using a diamond hull brush, which is a tool that makes solid shapes, using the globe as a guide. And as I had really had no idea what I was making with this, I was just kind of busking as I went along. I wanted to put a kind of sign in the front, so I'm using a square guide, box guide, to give me a flat surface. And I think I'm using a marker. I think I'm using unshaded, one of the unshaded markers to do the base of it. And I'm going to give it some light on the edges, just strips of light, and yeah, just make it all nice and neat. Now, this is the control panel of the free energy generator. At this point, I still really had no idea what I was going to make, but I wanted to write the word control, which I'm doing now, using a wire brush, just a basic wire, which has got some thickness and dimension to it, so it kind of stands out from the side a little bit. And then I'm going to make my control buttons using a red marker, a flat marker. Oh, actually no, I ended up using a shiny hull brush to make my controls. So I make one, I shrink it down, and then I copy and paste it a few times to make the controls. There they are. And then I'm going to make some control sliders as well. So I'm going to get another guide, box guide, so I've got my flat surface. And again, I use flat marker quite a lot because of the qualities, that it's not shaded, that it's quite easy to use. It's quite solid, it doesn't layer. So I'm making my slider controls now, and I think I made 3 of them. That's it. So that's the knob to slide, but I wanted a different heights on each of the sliders So I'm going to copy and paste the control, make several of them, and move the slider in different positions on each one, so I've got different controls. I made the knob using the shiny hull brush as well, so that's coming. So now I've got 3 different sliders. Get rid of the guides, don't need those, and then I shrink them down to the size I need and apply them to my control panel. There we go, they're applied. That one's not quite right. That's it. Don't want a 4th one, but I think it needs some lights. It needs a little bit of... Well, first of all, you need to know what each slider does. So I'm going to do a little writing. I think I'm using a freehand wire brush for this one. Again, so I've got some dimensions. So these are the controls of my free energy generator. And it needs an on and an off switch. So we don't really know what these buttons do, but... And then I'm going to put some lights, so I'm doing the dots which are illuminated, and I want to get them quite big, so I'm playing with them a little bit until I'm kind of happy with the size, and I'm going to apply them to my generator. I always kind of make a spare in case I decide to use it again, and leave it on the side, and then some skinnier lights on the other side. And yeah, so I'm using this, I can't remember what the brush is actually called, but it's quite a random one. I use it a lot for aerials and antenna in various colors. You'll notice that my headset changes color every time I change color. And I'm making these kind of antenna, sort of electric receptors, I don't know what you would call them. And I'm cutting and pasting and popping them all over the globe. As I say, I had no basic plan for this. This was just quite spontaneously made, because my focus was really just to show the range of brushes and colors and tools that are available on Tilt Brush, or Open Brush for that matter. Open Brush is a really great version since Tilt Brush has been decommissioned. Still available, Tilt Brush, but it's just not supported by Google anymore. And there's lots of brilliant programmers that have taken it over and are making their own versions using the open source. So I certainly recommend that you go and have a look at Open Brush, because it's terrific, and it's getting more terrific. Now, I got to a point in this piece where I felt something needed to be inside the crystal sphere, and so the idea came that all energy is heart-driven, is driven by love. The power of love is the greatest power of all. Never mind free energy, the power of love is where it's at. So I wanted to put an iconic heart inside my free energy generator, and that's what I'm doing. I kind of used guides to make the 2 halves of the heart, and now I'm using light, using a straight edge on it to do beams of radiation coming off my heart. So that's what you're seeing at the moment. And so I can work quite large. I can make this piece quite large and then shrink it down to fit to whatever size I want. So now I'm selecting all of it, and I'm going to group it, and then I'm going to shrink it to the size I want and put it into the heart of my machine, into the center of my machine. And I'm removing guides because we don't need them anymore. I don't think I'll be doing anything flat anymore onto the machine. So now I think we're going to need, I put some wire, they look like fairy lights. I'm using them as straight edge, but just to give the machine a bit more strength and substance. And these kind of flash, they've got little flashing lights, you can just about see them. They look like a string of Christmas lights, of fairy lights. And again, I'm using them with a straight edge, but they can be used without the straight edge as well. So making sure that I've got everything on all sides. And I've changed my mind. I don't want to call it control anymore. So I'm erasing, using the eraser, and I'm just very subtly, gently removing the writing that I've done. And I'm going to replace it with something. I'm going to use a guide. And I don't know if you can see what I'm writing, but I'm writing the power of love. That's what my machine is now called. The driving force of everything, love. So I'm going to select the writing. I'm going to get rid of some writing I did that wasn't as good. And I'm going to just pop that up there. But it's a little bit difficult to see, so I quite fancy a great big version of it, kind of hanging above the whole piece. Looks like a sort of like one of those neon signs that you get. So, power of love. And I've just redone it a second time because I wasn't sure if it was working. There we go. Really huge on top. Now the electricity coming out. So it's a little bit like a Van de Graaff generator or whatever. I was kind of wanting lots of this electric light to come out and sparking between all the different terminals of the generator. So it's all kind of connected within. This is kind of a fun brush. This has been speeded up 4 times so that you don't get too bored watching. And if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. I really love interacting with other artists, with people that are interested in VR art, with anyone really. So do pop your comments below and I guarantee you I'll get back. Now this is a neat little trick in Tilt Brush. If you it doesn't work on the Quest, but you can make these discs, and I'll show that in another demo, but they're absolutely perfect discs. So I've put little feet on my generator and I'm just tidying it up a little bit. And just adjusting the heart in the center and just everything neater and changing a few of the sparks that don't quite sit right to my eye. I've just changed the background to a black. That's something you can do in Tilt Brush. I think it just makes it pop a lot more. Yeah, and I'm just changing the line slightly. And I want to give a little bit more structure and sparkle, so I'm using this light wire to the fairy light tool that I can't remember the name of. Just to strengthen the structure, and you can see the lights flashing. They always are synchronized. You can't get random flashing. They all flash at the same time, regardless of when you draw them. And the last finishing touches, just to get more flash on the machine. I really love these animated brushes. They just bring everything to life, really. And there you have it. I think I'm gonna put a little bit of fire onto my machine because love is really hot. And I'm gonna have flames coming out of it. And there it is. Thank you for watching. Please press that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing lots of tutorials. This is my first one ever. Bye.